Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Joe Scarice, your co-host and co-founder of the Creative Birth Strategies podcast and Clubhouse Room here on Clubhouse, providing education, networking, and strategy. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. I'd like to just thank everybody for engaging, again, stepping in this morning for another great subject. We're at the 97th episode, so pretty excited about that. So we'll get started here in just a few minutes. We can invite some people in and get things started here. Busy week this past week, from North Jersey to Philadelphia to Richmond, Virginia, back to North Jersey. It was just a busy week of education, networking, and strategy. So I'm really appreciating everybody's time this week. A lot of great articles put out this week as well, a lot of podcasts and interviews being set up and aligned with the Creative Birth Strategies, working with a lot of our sponsors as well in collaborative. We have such a jam-packed April. I will try to update everybody on it a little bit, but I'm going to talk about some of our updates to our website, where we're obviously keeping people informed of all the great updates that we're doing with events and opportunities. So let me just make sure I'm inviting everybody in correctly here. Let's get here started. All right, let's get started here. So this is Joe Scarice, your co-host and co-founder of the Creative Birth Strategies podcast. I want to thank our sponsors. Of course, as always, I want to thank Mr. Yordell Perkins of Perkatech, who provides our social media architecture, our podcasting, and now is setting up brokers for white label marketing for real estate professionals throughout the country, which I'm real excited about that new opportunity. And then I'd like to thank MB Capital Solutions, where I am a referral partner in the unsecured business line of credit area, where we're providing more monies in front of small investors, medium-sized investors, or even big investors to have accessibilities to lines of credit. I'd like to thank Realty 411 with Linda Pelagas, who provides a national publication as well as national events throughout the country for real estate professionals. And she's been just a great ally over the last couple of years. I want to thank Lenmark Capital, where I am a senior loan analyst providing nationwide asset-based lending direct to consumer or investor in the DSCR, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, multifamily, mixed use, general construction lines of credit, advisory, and strategy. And we're also now extending and really pushing out the white label marketing for brokers and correspondents to lend our money out on behalf of Lenmark, and look forward to building out that piece of the pie to our space. And then I'd like to thank TCS, where my licenses are held for real estate in New Jersey and PA. They're providing property management services throughout the country at various markets. And I'd like to thank Elite Dealmakers, where we're now holding events on behalf of Elite Dealmakers in New Jersey and PA. And those are all found on our website at josephvscarice.com. And all our podcasts are offered on creativebirthstrategies.com. We're now hitting our 97th episode of the podcast. But we did find some older video work that we did during COVID before we had the podcast. And I think we're going to be pushing some of that content out as well. I want to just let you know what we're doing with our websites. We're going through a major campaign of getting things in order on the social media side. We're adding a lot of Google words. We're interfacing our events to my personal website. So that'll be developing over the next several weeks. It's a 6-month project. Also, you're seeing a lot more postings in various buckets of social media that I offer, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So just keep track of a lot of stuff. We're doing a heavy amount of more marketing, not just for the podcast, but for the events that I'm either attending, speaking at, or providing sponsorship for over the next year. So just keep an eye out for a lot of that as well. So let's get caught up on the market today. Rates did drop this week. So we saw a significant 0.5 point to 0.75 of a point rate drop in the commercial space. We're now looking at loans on DSCR somewhere between 6.75 and 7%, depending on credit score, depending on leverage, depending on the credit, the asset type. The multifamily is probably in the high 7s right now, low 8, but again, significantly less as we see this market turning, which we need this. because the inventory is just not that great. And then two, we have a lot of we just need more business being made. There's applications are down, business is down in the sense of the real estate market because we have such inflated prices. Very hard to identify deals. I'm seeing a lot of people just getting frustrated putting offers in, and it's been a very interesting week long. I think I put out 12 to 15 term sheets. A couple of them got turned down. Um, but it has ticked up this past week. It was quiet for about 10 days prior to this past week. I'm starting to see a lot more activity on the fixed to rent, fixed to flip, and DSCR space, refinance and purchase as well on the DSCR. So there is some serious opportunities out there. There are some clients that are staying very aggressive. We're staying very aggressive. Like last week, I met probably close to 150 to 200 people between all the presentations and events that I attended. And the common denominator is we just can't find a deal. And you just got to get out there and just really focus on some opportunities and just look at just keep digging. That's all I can say. Keep looking, talking to you, going, working your network, attending events, looking online, looking offline. This month as overall, just real quickly, I'd like to just make sure we have a great event tomorrow night in South Jersey. We're going to be talking about new construction. We have one in Lehigh Valley the second Wednesday, which is the next week as well. We're going to be talking about self-directed. I know we're talking about the outlook to the market of two very aggressive real estate agents up there, Alex Camry and Marcello Riccardi. We have in Philadelphia, second Monday of the month, we're going to be discussing self-directed IRAs. Third Tuesday of the month, we are going to be up in Jersey City talking about unsecured business lines of credit in April. Very excited about that opportunity. That's our first new event up there. And then we have a mastermind deals and dinner with Mr. Joseph Martella and Marcus Williams, fourth Monday of the month, back down in South Jersey. A couple things coming up on the weekends. This Saturday coming up, we're in King of Prussia with the Sub-2 community with John McAllister. Next week on the 19th, day before Easter, I'll be in New York City presenting to the Sub-2 community at 110 Fifth Avenue. Probably close to 150 people will be there. Very excited about that opportunity. And then we're finishing off the month on the 26th back in South Jersey, and we're going to have an asset-based lending underwriting course, white label marketing course for aspiring brokers and correspondents. So I want to thank everybody for those events. And you can find all that on josephvscarice.com. Or you can just reach out to myself or Yordell. We'll get you on our constant contact updates where we're always updating people on a day-to-day basis of all the events that we're involved with. So let's get updated with the market again today. This past week, like I said, a very tumultuous market with the tariff announcements by our government. But you know what? Canadian lumber tariff exemptions help U.S. builders and homebuyer affordability. That's a real interesting thing. So saw that article pop up this past week. Asking rents are mostly unchanged. The GDP of quarter one near zero growth. So that's interesting to watch. First quarter coming out in 2025. President Trump went out after Chair Powell, Federal Chair Powell. Maybe we should cut interest rates, stop playing politics. We'll yet to see. The rates are coming down either way, whether the Fed announces or not. Is somebody unmiked? Let's see who's unmiked. Let's see here. That's unmiked. That's Mike. Somebody mute them. Yes, here we go. I think the tariff increases will be significantly larger than expected. I think it'll be very impactful to the market where we're going to see rates probably come down another half a point over the next in the next probably quarter. I would say as well. Some articles that caught my eye. Build to rent market improves as SFR single family residential completions hit historic highs. And I'm going to put this article out today as well. Major U.S. metros experience uptick in buyer competition, especially through the investor market. And one other article that I'll post up this week as well is the spring housing inventory jumps, but buyers remain hesitant amid economic turmoil. So it's going to be an investor market. So let's get started to our discussion today. And, how will overcoming fear and unlocking your real estate growth strategies. So, building wealth and overcoming your fear and unlocking real estate growth strategies are crucial for your success in real estate industry. Building wealth and thriving in the field requiring the right mindset and strategic approach. While real estate investments may appear daunting, conquering fears is achievable with the appropriate strategies leading to substantial growth opportunities. So let's talk about some fears that we have as real estate professionals or real estate investors. Acknowledging and addressing your fears, educating yourself, starting smaller, partnering with others. There's nothing wrong with having a business partner. It's not for everybody, but I'm not against it. Shifting from fear to focused action, setting clear goals, and taking consistent steps. Diversifying your strategy for growth. Buy and hold, fix and flips, maybe look at some REITs, maybe even consider wholesaling. As we're seeing the licensing requirements for real estate agents to wholesale, that actually might become a better revenue stream for some of the real estate agents that are investor friendly out there. Understanding and leveraging financing options, understanding conventional mortgages, better understanding hard money loans, and sitting down with private lenders and looking at white label marketing partnerships, developing a growth mindset, learning from mistakes. It was so funny. I was cutting a cigar with a colleague yesterday, and I said I've made 1,000 mistakes, but thankfully I've made 1,000 successes, and we start laughing about it. Stay committed, seek out mentorship or coaching, which I'm a big fan of. Stay up to date with market trends, monitoring the interest rates. I put a little quick post out. People were like, "Hey, where are the rates at? Give me a call. Let's go over them." The rate customizes to what your financial your criteria is. So keep that in mind. Following local market trends and leveraging technology. Like right now, we're going through a major project on website upgrades, social media upgrades. I mean, we're looking at it. We're leveraging it. We're acknowledging it. We were soft in it, and now we're going to get real tough with it. Building a strong network. Listen, I met 150 people this past week. I don't know if that's all going to gel, but maybe I get a 10 or 15 or 20% return of new partnerships and new opportunities, whether it's real estate agents or brokers or contractors or inspectors, lenders and investors. Embracing risk management, proper due diligence. Always do your due diligence on your properties. Just don't kind of think the renovations are this or that. I had a guy yesterday that I talked to. He says, "Hey, my renovations are somewhere between 200,000 and 250." I said, no. It's not in between. It's either 200 or 250. So we're going to use 250. He's like, "Oh, okay." I mean, I'd rather take the worst case scenario. Understanding a lot of the other professional services like insurance and title. And then obviously emergency funds and having reserves for unexpected expenses. Overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth strategies is a process that involves both mental shifts and tactical planning. By educating yourself, diversifying your approach, leveraging the right financing, and building strong relationships, you can take confident steps towards success in real estate. Remember, it's not about avoiding risk altogether, but managing it wisely and consistently working towards your goals. So let's get started here with some of our great moderators this morning. Good morning, Amy. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, overcoming fear and unlocking your real estate growth.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everyone. I am Amy Palvido. I am the chairwoman of the U.S. PropTech Council, which is the trade association for the real estate technology industry in the U.S. And I'm also a startup founder. Is a real estate technology startup founder. We're focused on the data center industry. And we use AI in new ways to help the data center industry use less energy, optimize their operation, train their staff, things like that. That's what we work on there. And I've been a long-time real estate investor. I've been investing in real estate since 2008. So I had I started investing in single families, then moved into multifamily. I had a private equity firm, and then for a while I had a real estate fund. So I will always be a real estate investor. Just right now, I'm focused on technology. Actually, I'm looking at a deal. You can't go away, Joe. You can't get that far away from it. Every once in a while, a deal pops up. You're like, oh, I'm a real estate investor again. So, overcoming fear. Well, I will say, when I started real estate investing back in '08, it wasn't the best time. I mean, it was kind of crazy, everything that was happening then. But inside of crazy, there's always opportunity. And I've been doing that, even through the boom cycle. There's always a deal. There will always be a real estate deal. You just sometimes they're harder to find. But if you look, that's your job. If you're a real estate investor, that's your job. You go and you find the deals. But they are sometimes more difficult to find. And I will say, with everything that's happening in technology now and how it's changing so much, you can use AI in a multitude of ways. You can use AI to find you deals. You can use AI to underwrite deals now. You can use it's an amazing time to be a new real estate investor. I would caution you not to just listen to AI, but you can educate yourself and reduce the learning curve probably by 50% by just the amount of information that's out there and how quickly you can educate yourself on real estate investing. But it doesn't hurt to hang around with people who've been doing it a long time. That never hurts. But overcoming fear, I would say it really is all about education, and understanding that just know, trust me, because I've been through '08, I've been through the boom cycles, I've been through market downturns, I've been through pretty much all of it. And there's always a deal. There just is. So yeah, I mean, I have a couple of events, Joe. Do you want me to throw those out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Please do.
Well, I'm speaking at Penn State next week, so I don't know if you can come over to State College, but I can't get away because they got me booked through everything. But I'm speaking at Penn State on April the 10th. But the PropTech Council is having a couple of really cool in the month of May. Some really cool webinars for their members. And the first one actually relates to this topic, which is, navigating the headwinds that the real estate industry is facing right now. And so I have the chief economist from CBRE, the chief economist from BGO, a former congressman who is also a real estate developer down in Florida, and the senior vice president of government relations for NAREIT. And they're all coming on to present to our members about this very topic, like everything that's coming out, the economic pressures, the craziness from Washington. How do we navigate that, right? As real estate professionals, real estate owners, real estate investors. So that's happening on May 7th. And then following that, on May the 26th, we're having a PropTech and InsurTech event that is talking about how do we use technology to reduce insurance costs. It's been crazy town for a while. But so we'll have an insurance company on. We will have technology companies on, representatives from InsurTech New York, and also obviously us from the PropTech Council. And so that will be on May 26th. It's for our members. So I'll put the link in the chat, but it's proptechcouncil.com. But that I think, as we try to have more and more conversations around this, I think if you're a real estate investor, just educate yourself. And I think that's the best way to overcome fear. So there you go. Half a nickel.
Half a nickel. Thank you, Amy. As always, I appreciate the updates to PropTech Council. Listen, the smaller investors starting out in the best strategies, there's definitely going to be some challenges, but yet I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I was at an event yesterday with 50 real estate investors. They were engaged. It wasn't a lot of experience, probably somewhere from the newbie to the experienced, but they were excited. They were excited about working together. They were excited about opportunities partnering together. They know that there's opportunities out there. They were actually doing some test calls to real estate agents, live calls, which was really interesting. And I was able to do some constructive, thoughts to how they were approaching agents and how to work with agents as investors. I thought it was a lot of excitement. I think people walked away with a lot of education. And I mean, the event's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, it started off at about 25 to 30 people. Now it's getting 50, 60 people once a month on a Saturday. So you're seeing the opportunities for the newer investors. And, as a new investor, you got to take some considerations and strategies to navigate through the real estate landscape in 25. Okay. Knowledge, foresight, strategic planning, embracing the challenges as stepping stones to your success as a small real estate investor. Ed, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth. Ed going once. Ed going twice.
I'm here, John.
There you go. So Ed, what's your thoughts to our discussion this morning, overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth?
I have to agree with Amy was saying is, the education reduces fear. You have to know, understand your numbers, understand your financing, how to leverage other people's money, and also start small and think big. Start out with a single family, and gain your confidence there and experience there, and then go after the 10 units, later on. And also build the right team around you. I think the number one person around you should be a mentor. To reduce the fear that you have somebody there to run things past and bounce ideas off of.
So Ed, we've talked about this and joked about it for a long time. The self-proclaimed mentors and coaches out there, as we call them, the Facebook legends in their own mind. What is the biggest precaution that one should take as a newer investor in chasing their goals and the shining object when it comes to some of these self-promotional coaches and mentors that are out there? What's your thoughts to that, Ed?
I think you should bring a deal to somebody who's an investor, experienced investor. You bring the deal, and they bring it, or you bring the money, or you bring the deal, and you go partners with it. Don't go out there and spend $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 on somebody that you may never see again. They're just going to give you an 800 number. You know what I mean? Find somebody who's going to be around, who's local, and say, look, I got the deal, I got the money. Let's partner on this, and you show me the way. That's, I think, would be the best mentor.
Thanks, Ed, and thank you for your insight, and thanks for coming on this morning. The year 2025 presents unique challenges and opportunities for the small real estate investor starting out. How will 2025 impact small real estate investors? Interest rates and financing, you got to understand the impact, and you need to understand the strategy. Markets uncertainty and recession concerns. Eggs have dropped in pricing, gas has dropped in pricing, jobs have increased in the private sector. I wouldn't focus on the media and what they're dropping information. I would focus on data that you're reviewing online that's hopefully true. There's remote work and changing demographics. It's so funny. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday. Hey, I'm investing out in Texas and Oklahoma and Ohio. I said, listen, why don't you just drive down the turnpike and exit 2 and look in Cumberland, Salem County? I think your numbers are going to be just the same, and you're within an hour of your investment properties. He's like, really? There's deals down there? Like you have to talk to people, right? And then obviously being tech-driven real estate, technology continues to play a real bigger role, and embracing technology to streamline all your processes. And then understanding regulations and tax impact is very important as well. Focus on cash flow, not speculative gains. And starting with smaller projects, diversifying your investments, and leveraging technology and automation, and researching up-and-coming markets. Partnering up is not a bad idea. Staying educated and networking, building your team of experts. Timothy, good morning and welcome. Brief overview of who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth.
Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, group. This is Timothy Doyle up here in the greater Lehigh Valley, owner of Steel Hill Properties. Everyone has actually touched on some very, very good points. Mentoring, knowing your numbers, leveraging where you can. The only things I don't think we've actually really touched on is risk and risk analysis, like knowing your own risks. At the end of the day, the fear that you see is the person you're looking at in the mirror. That's your biggest blockade to move, executing, moving forward, et cetera, et cetera. As we've touched on, it's the network you've done, or the network you've done. Again, also vetting good mentors. What I like to do sometimes is play a trick on some of these so-called mentors is get a deal that's very far-fetched, get one that's somewhat okay, and put one together that looks like that's a really good deal. And then let's see how good some of these mentors really are. And some of the same tactics I used to use when I was interviewing for a company that I owned to hire higher level managers, people to be running the company, accountants, project managers, so on and so forth. Full time during the day, I actually work in the tech space, but I work more with healthcare and healthcare information systems. So I think what Amy's put forth, what you put forth, what Ed has said before, resounds exactly as it should. Again, for some of the newbies out there, start small, put your numbers together, find somebody as a good mentor, find someone here, say, hey, can I use some of these tactics to help interview some folks I have that would mentor me. And some of the mentors that are out there, again, the good ones don't come free. A lot of them don't come cheap, but some of them will take you under their wing and say, over a cup of coffee, say, hey, let's analyze your deal, take a look. Let's try and help you where we can, give you some good footing. We have some of that in some of the meetup groups or some of the other local REIA groups as well. It's another avenue you could take. But those are my less than 5 cents, Joseph. So again, Timothy Doyle with Steel Hill Properties up here in Greater Lehigh Valley. Remember, if you can't buy it, steal it.
Nice. Thanks, Tim, as always. Understanding your own risk in real estate investing is crucial to make informed decisions and achieving long-term success. Now, I'm going to give you some key risks you need to consider when your real estate investing strategies, depending on the strategy you're using. You got to understand your market risk. The changes in the local or national economy can affect property values. And mitigating risk, researching market trends and demographic shifts and economic indicators. There's liquidity risk. Real estate is not a liquid asset, meaning it can take time to sell property if you need cash quick or even refinance. Keeping an emergency fund is very important for unexpected situations. And understanding interest rate risk. Rates have come down. Could they come down more? Can you take advantage of that? Obviously, the risk is you miss that window. Okay. Looking at 30-year money instead of 5-year money. Okay. So the 5-year arm is not a very big suggestion right now. I would look at 30-year money and underwrite your file based on 30-year money. Property specific risk. Is it a poor location? Does it have structural problems? Are there unforeseen maintenance costs? Conducting a thorough due diligence, including property inspections, and research the area's future development potential for appreciation. All of you should have a general construction scope of work spreadsheet. If you don't, email me, I will get it out to you. You need to have a checklist when you're going through a property. And then understanding construction and renovation risk. Is the renovation too heavy for you? Do you have the experience to get the transaction to the finish line? I have just heard just yesterday that a very specific asset-based lender has 80% delinquency on their balance sheet right now. 80% delinquency. That's a lot of bad underwriting. That's a lot of inexperience and a lot of bad intuition. Okay, I'm not going to reveal who it is, but it doesn't matter. It's not me, thank God. But that's a concern. Okay, that's going to impact the market. And then there's cash flow risk. You need to understand the difference between DSCR and cash flow and cash on cash return. And then you have to understand the depreciation risk. While real estate often appreciates over time, it also can depreciate due to factors like neighborhood decline or outdated property conditions or the market itself. Or over leveraging risk is a big concern, having too much money into the deal. These are things you got to keep in mind. By understanding risk and preparing for them, you can develop a strategy that aligns with your financial growth goals and risk tolerance. Mr. Joseph Mortella, good morning and welcome. Your thoughts to overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth.
Hey, good morning, Joe. A lot of good things that was said, right? Talked about mentorship, talked about education. A couple of things that I want to hone in on, right? Yeah, you can educate yourself, but you really need to sit down and figure out what strategy you want to educate yourself on. And 50 different ways to invest in real estate, from being a private lender to buying and holding, to fixing and flipping, to wholesaling, to tax liens, to note investing. So there's a bunch of ways that you could become a real estate investor in. So you really need to sit down and figure out what strategy it is that you want to do, and then hone in on that and educate yourself on that, right? Don't get stuck in the analysis paralysis. You're always going to be fearful. I don't care if it's your first deal or your 100th deal. If you don't have butterflies in your stomach, that means there may be something, right, where you get overconfident in. Overconfidence is never a good thing, right? I've done plenty of public speaking events, and before every event, I get butterflies in my stomach. And an older gentleman told me, "Kid, if you don't have the butterflies in your stomach, you're going to go up." Mentorship. Hey, I also believe in the saying that there's no such thing as but on the other hand, I've also seen a lot of these quote unquote mentors that, it's not about how many doors they have, right? I've seen people who have 40 doors, but their cash flow is maybe $100 to $200 a door. I had another investor talk about a BRRRR. He's like, "Oh, if I BRRRR and I get $200 a month, I'm happy because it's a successful BRRRR." Well, what happens when you have a $2,000 expense? Your annual profits eaten up. So you want to look at, what they're doing. So not just because they have doors means that they're qualified to give you mentorship. So peel back that onion, ask questions, and I would say develop what works for you, right? There's a lot of things where full-time real estate investors, they go and they tout it like they're the best because they quit their jobs and they're full-time real estate investors. Yet they're in the grind more than a W-2 employee, and they really don't have the money behind them that they pretend to have. So there's a lot of fallacies that are out there. So educate yourself and interview people and peel back that onion and ask those questions to see if they're truly what they are. I can tell you that the genuine people who are mentoring, or the genuine people who really are doing it right, don't have time to do the mentorship. But if they do, they're not interested in your money anyway because they're making money. It's just, hey, I got 15, 20 minutes. You want to peel, you want to chop my ear a little bit, fine. But that's all I got for you. So that's just I would say $1 worth of information.
Man, we got $1.10 going here so far. This is really good stuff. Great safe travels up to Staten Island, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, Joe touched on something where we're going here with this is mentorship. And, people are always looking for me to mentor. I said, listen, you don't really want me to mentor you. You want me to guide you in the right direction. I'm a licensed professional. I don't have the time to charge you for mentorship. I have an hour to get on a Zoom call and go through things. That's going to be more valuable for you to better understand your deals or understand deal making than anything else. Because I don't need your money. You're right. I make a living in what I do. Mentorship in real estate investing is one of the most valuable resources, and you could have when starting or achieving your investment journey. A mentor can help you navigate the complexities of real estate, avoiding common pitfalls and accelerating the learning curve. Why mentorship in real estate is so crucial. Learning from experience, expanding your network, Accountability, returning all phone calls and emails and leaving yourself available for messages to be left. That's an impressionable factor as a real estate professional. Guidance in decision making, financial education, avoiding common pitfalls. I don't think enough mentors out there, or self-proclaimed mentors, are educated in financial education enough. They don't know the differences between regulated financing, hard money, and asset-based lending, or what we consider non-QM lending. They don't know. They think it's all the same thing. How do you find the right mentor or identify a mentor? Attending good real estate networking events. If there's something being sold at the back of the room, to me, that's not the right mentor. I want to see the guy or gal that owns 10 or 15 properties, that's willing to take you on a tour and show you around what they're doing and how they're looking at things. Looking at some online real estate communities, I think that's not a bad idea. There's a lot more of them growing. I mean, we have some great Facebook groups under the Elite Dealmakers. You can always reach out to me personally, go over and have a call. I'm available. As long as you're willing to set up a Zoom call, I'm willing to get on a call with you. I think there's some good Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups. I mean, Bigger Pockets has some good discussions. Reaching out to successful investors. Take them out to lunch. Have a cup of coffee. On you, not on them. Real estate investment clubs, local, regional. Real estate agents, brokers, and property managers. When's the last time have you sat down with a property manager? If you're going to do the BRRRR strategy, have you had a meeting and sit down with 2 or 3 property managers in your market? And be clear about your goals. Be prepared to learn and be open-minded. Don't fall asleep at the class. Respect their time and taking action. Offer value in the return and stay humble and grateful. There's different types of mentorship: one-on-one, group, mastermind, paid mentorships. Some challenges in mentorship: lack of time, finding the right fit, limited availability, unrealistic expectations. Mentorship in real estate investing can dramatically increase your chances of success by helping you learn from others, avoiding mistakes, and making informed decisions. Whether you're starting or looking to take your investments to the next level, a mentor can provide invaluable advice, support, and guidance. Just make sure to approach the relationship with respect, patience, and willingness to learn. I took everybody on a rehab caravan tour a couple of weeks ago, and I asked everybody, when's the last time you went to a zoning meeting in the market that you're focusing on buying a real estate property? Nobody raised their hand. That's the best kind of networking. Meeting hands-on people that are actually doing that are transactional. Get in there. Get your hands dirty. Good morning, Bob. Welcome. Brief overview: who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion: overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Thank you. My name is Bob Chesick, president of Chespin Corporation, doing corporate and LLC setups. I'm not here to give legal advice. I'll also be hosting a room immediately following this one called The Business of Real Estate. So look for that around 10 o'clock this morning, New York City time. And looking at the topic at hand, looking from my perspective, where I'm setting up LLCs for people, this is the time of year, especially for people that set up in Delaware, where I have to do the annual reports, and the pattern is the same every year. I get a lot of people who, the only way I can say it is they jumped in wholeheartedly into their real estate venture, or whatever venture for that matter. And then they turn into a deer in the headlights, or life gets too busy, they get distracted. And then all of a sudden here I come knocking on the door. Hey, it's time to do your annual renewal. We got to do your report. The bill's due, and they freeze up. And then I start getting the excuses why they don't have the money, or why they don't think they should have to pay because they did nothing. Or, just, we're just going to ignore Bob and see what happens. And, well, that never goes well, because then Bob winds up resigning as the agent, and their company get voided and canceled by the state. And in another case, I've got one person who set up a company a couple of years ago, ignored me last year, never paid the bill, and then called me to this year and said, oh, we're not using the company, so I don't think I should have to pay, but we have a different deal in another state, so what's it going to cost to move that company from one state to the other? Yeah. That doesn't work, folks. So what I see a lot of is that I've seen a lot of people who become fearful after they start the process because they didn't take more than a few moments beyond whatever presentation they listened to. And they leapt before they looked. And then they become a deer in the headlights. And now the bills are stacking up and it makes them more fearful. So they kind of think that if I walk away from it, nothing will happen. Well, the consequences are out there, and some states are a lot nastier than others when it comes time to pay the bills if you don't. Some states will even actually put liens against you and wreck your credit for not filing. Pennsylvania, by the way, is notorious for that. So just as an example. So the point being that the thing I always say when I have conversations with people, sometimes I'm very good at judging whether or not they're going to go forward or not. 23 years in the business, you become an instinct. But of all these ones that I see, this is what I see the most. Have you done your homework? Do you understand what you're getting into? And quite frankly, are you a little afraid of it? Or did you just think this is a great idea and I'm going to just jump into it and I'm going to make all kinds of money because, someone I heard on TikTok told me that I'm going to make $1 million in 10 days like they did. The reason they made the $1 million in 10 days is because they made the $1 million getting people to pay them to tell them that. So it's my biggest thing that I see with the fear and unlocking it is education and doing your homework. Understand what you're getting into. Real estate's not something to go into blindly, as you've been hearing from all the panelists. You have to understand the work that you're getting into. And if you do, then you can unlock doors. And like I said, as Joe's saying, don't be afraid to call people, call professionals, work your professional network, even if you're in a totally different industry. Somebody might be doing what you're trying to do. Take a few moments and see if you can have a conversation, even if you're the one who has to pick up the tab for the couple beers. Just go out there and learn, and you'll overcome those fears with confidence. Just don't fill yourself with false confidence, which is only going to result in paralyzing fear and analysis paralysis. Joe, I yield the mic back to you.
Thank you, Bob, as always, and I appreciate the aftermath, the conversation in the Creative Birth Strategies done by you on Sundays every once in a while. So I've known Bob a long time. I think we have some great intuition to the good, bad, and the ugly of real estate investors and strategies they have. And the biggest thing that I think I've taken from what Bob has said is accountability. Accountability is a key factor in succeeding as a real estate investor. Without accountability, it's easy to lose focus and making poor decisions or fall short of your goals. Being accountable means consistently following through on your plans and learning from your mistakes and staying disciplined even when things are getting tough. Some effective strategies to keep yourself accountable as a real estate investor is setting some clear and achievable goals, creating a detailed business plan. I create a new one every week. I'm always pivoting one thing or another, sitting down with the people that I work with and how we can work together in collaboration and get in front of more people. But tracking and measuring your progress, building a networking and staying engaged. If you want to get the best way of becoming a network or creating a network is having your own networking event. Why haven't you had a networking event of your own? We can help you with that. So if you need that type of assistance, we love doing that. Okay. It's, leveraging a mentor or coach, using a real estate accountability partner, focusing on systems and processes, and establishing deadlines and milestones, and reviewing and learning from your mistakes, delegating and outsourcing when necessary, which, that's what we're doing it with the social media right now. I don't know why I haven't done it sooner, which I'm just astonished at myself, and staying consistent and prioritizing and tracking financial performance. Accountability is about taking ownership of your actions and staying disciplined and having a system in place to measure and track progress. By implementing strategies, setting clear goals, and building a support network, tracking your performance and learning from both successes and mistakes, you'll be better positioned to stay on track and achieve your real estate investment goals. Linda, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to a discussion, overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth.
Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, everyone on Clubhouse. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Linda Pliagas, and I'm the founder of Realty411.com. We're an information website for real estate investors, and we also produce events, both virtual and in person, as well as magazines to help our readers learn about real estate investing. Now, in terms of overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth, first of all, let's remember what fear really stands for. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. Most often, the things that we fear the most will never even come into fruition, yet we get all worked up about them. Now, one of the best ways to conquer real estate fear, again, is with education. And everybody on this call, more or less touched upon how important education is. And it's so right. And with education, it doesn't mean you have to spend, $50,000, $60,000 on mentorship. Just coming to rooms like this on a regular basis and hearing from experts on this call, that will give you so much insight into what proper real estate principles are. And it'll help you comprehend how to do deals. Now, once you start understanding and comprehending how to use private capital to leverage, and you're going to start having confidence in knowing what is a good deal and what isn't. And you'll be able to conquer that fear, and it'll enable you to finally take some action. I encourage you to take baby steps if you must, but get educated about the fear, about what causes you the most fear in life. Whatever it is, that's what you need to tackle. Now, in terms of unlocking real estate growth, one of the best ways to do that is to use private capital and hard money to leverage your money and to be able to scale and purchase up. And you have a great mentor here with Joseph. He can help guide you and help understand the numbers properly. Now, another way to scale is to take massive action by partnering with other like-minded investors to do deals. By uniting with others to buy real estate, you can buy faster, you can buy more, and build a portfolio for you and your partners. Now, of course, there are risks and repercussions to this, so please proceed with caution. And be sure to put everything in writing and always have honest, transparent communication with everyone that you're dealing with. Back to you, Joseph.
Linda, thank you. Any updates on upcoming events for Realty411?
Thank you so much. Yes, we will be having an in-person event on July 19th in beautiful Dayton, California. In the meantime, we want to schedule a lot of virtual events. We love the virtual events. I want to invite you, Joseph, to come on to one of our virtual events. And all the moderators on this call were excellent. If anybody would like to join us on a virtual event, we would love to have you. We're all about education and empowering investors. Thank you for the opportunity, Joseph.
Thanks, Linda. And just send me some dates and times, and we'll hammer that out right away. Okay? So, breakthroughs in real estate investing are happening all the time, especially as technology, market shifts, and new investment strategies evolve. You have to identify the key trends and innovations that are emerging to consider breakthroughs in your space. So that's the biggest, I think, fear for anyone is just pushing through. Like my biggest fear with social media was putting the money out, and was it going to pay off? But once I spent the money on the social media marketing and the website upgrades and identifying the weaknesses in our social media, I feel like I'm not spending enough money at this point. I need to spend more. I feel like I'm having a whole new way of looking and identifying new people to talk to on a day-to-day basis, and creating a new value to inbound lead generation. And that's growth. And that's excitement at the same time, because when the phone's ringing, you're making money, hopefully. So you have to identify that breakthrough for yourself and how you got to create that inbound opportunity for yourself as a real estate professional or a real estate investor. Good morning, Stephen. Welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks of been off, but I appreciate you bringing it back on. I'm Steve Franco. I'm an investor, a broker, and I in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and I focus a lot on helping wholesalers in PA get licensed or profit. If they don't want to get licensed, there are very thin ways to maybe make it work. But getting licensed is definitely the right way to do it. And I think overcoming fear is manifests in a lot of ways. I think one way people overcome fear, which is the wrong way, is just to jump in blindly. When my wife and I started investing, we read one book. We got the first real estate agent, and all of a sudden we're buying property. The real estate agent never sold industrial any kind of multifamily before. Not the way to go. You want to find those mentors, those partners, those people to bounce off of. Go to the groups, everything that's been said. I think for myself, I'm in an expansion where I want to invest fairly substantially in the next year. I want to bring on lots more agents, and I'm having to sort of trim back on some of the working in your business rather than on your business factors to make room for that. It makes it very hard if you're running around showing a property to another investor to be focusing on how you grow yourself. If that's your life's purpose, great. But if you're looking for something else, not so great. And along with that, you need those kinds of partners. You know, I'm starting to reach out to people like Bob and reach out to Percatech and getting that organized to figure out, okay, so how can I grow this? How can I outsource these things? And all comes back like everything else, have the team run the numbers. Especially like me, if you're getting into investing in a sector, I'm buying 2 properties for self-storage investing and ground up construction, totally new to me. That's not an area you want to go into without a lot of help. So what I try to do to help people who are going where I've been is, okay, if you want to get into wholesaling, you want to be licensed, you want to do it right, I'm here for that. I can help you as a partner. We can just chat. I can bring you on my brokerage firm. Come to my meetups. Come to other people's meetups. See people who are doing what you're doing before you try to jump off the bridge. And always have those reserves. The last piece of advice I have for people is, if you have cash, you can buy a whole property for cash, great. Don't. At least don't do it without talking to a lender. If you think the deal is great and you're going to go ahead and buy it for cash, which there's lots of reasons to consider not doing, bring it to Joe anyway. I mean, don't waste his time. But if a guy like Joe says this deal doesn't make sense, there's a reason for that. An asset-based lender lives and dies off the deal working. And so you should use Joe for your lending, but at least have a lender look at it. Because if they're running from the deal, you probably should run from the deal too. If it's a bank, different story. But if it's an asset-based, hard money, private money lender, they're going to depend on the deals being successful. And if they don't like it, there's a reason you should ask them why they don't like it, because they're probably not a good deal.
Steve, thank you for your insight. And I really appreciate the word manifesting. You know, manifesting opportunities in real estate investing involves a mix of mindset, focused action, and taking practical steps to attract and recognize potential deals. While manifestation often focuses on the power belief and intention, in the context of real estate, it also requires strategy, persistence, and a bit of luck, good karma. And there's some powerful ways to manifest and create opportunities in real estate investing. And something like what we're doing today, hopefully, will provide that manifesting. David, good morning and welcome. Brief overview for who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Benjamin. For those of you that don't know me, what I do is title insurance, property and casualty insurance, and I'm also the newest member of Joe's team. I'm helping to source deals in the places that he can't be, and also helping on the back end with processing. So a couple of things, and I'll make it brief because I know the hour's almost up.
That's okay. Take your time.
Okay. First thing is, as far as the market conditions Joe mentioned, yes, I've seen rates drop, and I'm definitely seeing an uptick in refinances. I actually did a closing for somebody the other day on the title side where they bought in the last couple of years. Now it was their owner occupied, but the rate they had was just over 8%, and they refinanced for 6.25%. So I thought that was pretty good, and I'm definitely seeing more activity on the refinance end. So if you have a property that you haven't, looked at lately to possibly do a refinance, you might want to run it by us and see if there's some money that can be saved. As far as the fear factor, totally agree with the way Amy kicked it off in knowledge is definitely a buffer for that comfort level to get through the fear. And all of these things that, for example, Joe puts together, whether it's an in-person event or virtual like this, these are great resources to gain some of that knowledge. And I would say, if you're a new investor, maybe start in your market, right in your hometown, a place that you're comfortable with and you really know, and, make that maybe your first investment. And then you could branch out from there once you get that comfort level. And then the last thing that I'll end with is, as far as the knowledge, you have great resources in vendors that you come across. And Joe's a good example. Those vendors do, in some cases, they see dozens of deals every month. They've seen almost every scenario that there is. And if they're consultative and they're willing to give you some time when you have a scenario, utilize that and leverage that. I think the two best resources as a new investor are other investors and then your vendors, and have a relationship with your vendors. I know myself as a vendor, I've always wanted to have more of a friendly relationship with clients. In most cases, they become friends, and they could call me and bounce scenarios off me, and I'll take all the time that I have and all the time that they need to get them through a deal. And I don't think enough people utilize that. For example, Joe and I did Joe hosted a presentation the other night in Philadelphia. There were, 30 or 40 people there.
52.
And yeah, it was a great event. And I'll just give it a quick example. I made an announcement. I said, I have a link where I have two different links where you as an investor can run a very quick and easy quote for yourself, both for title insurance and for homeowners insurance. You know how many people reached out to me so far? And that was Thursday or Wednesday evening? Two people for those links. I told them, I said, email me, I'll send you the link. So they're not utilizing their resources. Just don't be like that. If somebody gives you an opportunity to have a resource that makes things easier and quicker and more comfortable for you as an investor, take advantage of it. And I'll kind of leave it at that.
Dave, what we got coming up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in South Jersey?
Tomorrow we have a coffee meetup at the Chicken or the Egg, if anybody's heard of that. And it's primarily geared toward loan officers to come out and meet. It's a meet and greet and learn how we can give them access to white label marketing and products that will help them make more money this year.
Great stuff, Dave. And Dave came up with the idea. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, which I'm excited about. And I think we have 12 people registered, which I'm excited about. Even if 5 or 6 show up, they're the right 5 or 6 people to be there, right?
Right.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. And Dave touched on something that is important. Having a strong network of trusted real estate vendors is essential for success in real estate investing. Vendors that can provide services, advice, and expertise that help you streamline your operations, making informed decisions, and ultimately building wealth with you. By knowing your vendors well and leveraging their skills, you can gain significant advantages in the real estate ventures that you take on. Good morning, Felix, and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth. Felix? Felix going once. Felix going twice. I guess Felix is a little busy, but thank you for being up there. Oh, there he is.
There you go.
There you go.
My mic wasn't coming on. Felix Buchanan Sr. Thank you, Joe. Grand Rising, everybody. Thank you for having me as always. Buchanan Biz Enterprises, the JLix Group, team leader of an exit realty company in Baltimore. I do wholesaling, rehabbing, credit repair, business funding, property management, pretty much everything in real estate. It's always great information, so somehow or another I always end up being one of the last, or if not the last. And everybody provided great information. It's agreed. Education, having the right team around you, having the proper mentors. I agreed with, can't remember who said earlier that having the proper mentor is key. I'm going to give two quick examples because, like I said, coming behind everybody, they've already provided all the best information. One of the people that we met at the Baltimore RIA, I've been working with her. She closed a deal on Thursday. Somehow or another, she was still putting together quotes for what the rehab cost was going to be. And I was like, well, that's strange because I don't know any hard money lenders in my experience over the years that would allow you to close the deal and you're still submitting numbers for what your rehab is going to be. So to me, I was like, well, that was already strange that you have a hard money lender that allowed you to do that, as well as because they ended up having to pay more money because right before the deal was supposed to close, because the appraisal didn't come back at the number that they were suggesting, she had to come to the table with more money. So because of that, it put her in a position that she's like, well, I don't have enough money to do what I wanted to do within a rehab. So I'm going to go with the lowest numbers. So in that case, I got cut out completely because, oh, my numbers were too high. Your numbers are too high. And I gave her all types of information. I helped them with the drawings, helped them with everything. And I explained to her, I said, don't think that just because it's the cheapest that you're paying for these services, the contractor, and all these other things, because when I did my walkthrough with her, things that I point out to all newbie investors, all the things that I may have lost on, didn't pay attention to when I first started the business over 20 years ago, I looked to make sure that I provided her that advice. Needless to say, she went ahead and went in the other direction. I told her, hey, just give me a call. If you need any assistance still, I don't mind. Because at the end of the day, me being and had done that before, I almost expect that she's going to call me back later on in the rehab because these guys didn't do what they were supposed to do. And because you were strictly focused on the aspect of it being about the money, that's where you're going to lose. And, you don't want that to be the case for any newbie investors or any investors in general. But because you've been in the business so long, you almost guaranteed that here's what that outcome will be. Then I had another set of investors that came from Southern Maryland yesterday. Met them at the Black Wealth Summit. They're still part of the Black Wealth Challenge. And they explained and understood that the husband, he cares more about the numbers. The wife cares more about the property. So they asked me, well, how do we marriage the two? I said, well, one, we always got to make sure that the property fit the numbers of what it is that he's looking for. If he's the number guy, he takes care of all the analytics, as well as just making sure that everything we do our proper due diligence throughout scoping the property, what the work needs to be, what you're going to add into the property to make sure that it meets his numbers so that he just makes sure that he puts it into consideration. So their also aspect was, hey, we're willing to partner with you. We're willing to do these different things because they're new. They were more open to being like, hey, well, I wouldn't mind doing these other things so that we can rely on your level of expertise and it not just being from a mentorship standpoint, but us actually working with you. So those are my two examples and my information. And back to you, Joe.
Felix, as always, thank you. I've known Felix a long time. I even know Felix longer than Bob. So good seeing you on here this morning. And I really appreciate the rekindling of our partnership and working together on things.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I do too as well.
Thanks, Felix. So staying committed to focus in real estate investing can be challenging, especially with the multitude of distractions and opportunities that arise. However, maintaining a sharp focus is essential for long-term success. You need to stay committed and focused on real estate investment goals. Okay, breaking goals into actionable steps, defining your vision, and setting deadlines. Have an accountability partner. Right? I think it's a great step, no matter where you're at in the business, whether you're a newbie, middle of the road, or expert. You need accountability. All right, I think it's so important. I want to thank all of the moderators this morning. Want to get some final thoughts from Bob, of course. Bob, some final thoughts to our discussion today, and just round it out a little bit. What's your overall thoughts to this discussion, overcoming fear and unlocking real estate growth?
I think what it comes back to, just listening to everybody, is that when you're trying to become a real estate professional, or you're at any stage of it, whether you're just starting out, you're experienced, or maybe you're even an expert, the point is that if you're not learning and not educating and not challenging yourself, there's going to be a point where you're just going to stall out. I tend to see the stall outs at the beginning because of the type of work I do, where people just jump in and then they're just, that's it, it's over. And what the biggest, a lot of people, and this is human nature, people do tend to fear the unknown, where they're afraid of making a mistake. Lord knows I'm guilty of what I'm saying myself. But the point being that you're not going to learn unless you fail at least once, because failure is education. Education makes you stronger for your next win. I'm trying to remember which famous, I can't think of the name of the baseball player. Every strike takes me closer to my next home run. If you're not at least a little fearful or apprehensive that you're walking into something, or someone says, the butterflies in the stomach, I don't remember who said that. Trust me, every time I walk on stage to give a presentation, whether it's a room of 300 people or a small group of 30 people, I probably get more nervous at the small group of 30 people than the room of 300. And I'm really awkward at a table of 10. So, but I still have to just go in there and just do it. I've learned over the years, because and Joe's seen enough of my classes, and some of you have been to my classes. I am unbelievably shy and nervous in front of groups of people. It took me years to figure out how to do it, but I learned how to channel that nervousness or fear of public speaking into the energy I need to do the presentation. So that's like a constant thing. And yes, I'm completely wiped out. Joe will tell you, I look exhausted when I'm going out to the car, but that's just because it's the mental process I put myself through to do. And over the years, it's gotten easier. But the point being, if I didn't overcome that fear, I wouldn't be able to teach those classes like I will be in the coming months for Joe, since my schedule's finally freeing up. So that's my best advice, is sometimes you just got to put yourself out there in the danger zone to overcome the fear. But also, if there's one thing to fear, it's the regret that you never took the chance in the first place. Joe, back to you.
Bob, thank you. Value your time. Time is one of the most valuable assets we have, and how we choose to spend it can have a profound impact on our lives, especially in areas like real estate investing. Appreciating and valuing one's time, both of our own and that of others, can lead to greater success, efficiency, and meaningful relationships in any business endeavor. My quote this morning, well, first I want to thank our sponsors, of course, Mr. Yardell Perkins of Perkatech, MB Capital Solutions, your unsecured business line of credit program, Realty 411 with Linda Pelagas, Lenmar Capital, where I'm a senior loan analyst, TCS Property Management, offering property management services throughout the country, and Elite Deal Makers, where we're hosting events in New Jersey and PA, but they're also hosting events throughout the East Coast and now out to the Midwest, to the West Coast. Very excited about seeing their growth as well. And my quote this morning, you can often measure a person by the size of their dream. Robert Schiller. I'll see you next Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another great discussion of education, networking, and strategy. I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds, and thank you.
Business of real estate will follow immediately closing this room. It's already set up in the calendar.
you.